All fight fans love to brag about how respectable, honorable, and almost samurai-like the sport of mixed martial arts is. But sometimes all you want to see is two guys who despise each other just go at it. Hi guys, and welcome back. Today we're gonna see the top 10 most heated MMA rivalries of all time. You'd be surprised how many matchups have devolved into genuine hatred in the build-up to the fights. We've got everything from face-offs that devolved into shoving matches to scraps on the set of Ultimate Fighter, sprinkled with some of the best trash talk in the business. So stay tuned and enjoy the video with some popcorns. Let's get started. This may cause some controversy because some hardcore MMA fans still doubt Brock Lesnar's reign as a UFC heavyweight champion, but I am not one of them. If we're being literal, this is the biggest rivalry in MMA history, with the two behemoths weighing in at over 500 pounds combined. Frank Mir, a jiu-jitsu artist, gave former WWE superstar Brock Lesnar a bruising welcome to the UFC in 2008 when he submitted him via knee bar in the first round. This set up the rematch as #1 contender Mir, who had been very vocal in the build-up about his belief that he would beat Brock Lesnar 99% of the time. But that second meeting had to be in that 1% chance because Lesnar knocked out the former champion with ground and pound in the second round to silence all the haters. These two fighters will still be remembered as two of the nicest people to ever compete in the UFC octagon. But back in 2004, when they were vying for the title of world's greatest welterweight, they had a few less than nice things to say about each other. Hughes was the first of George St. Pierre's two losses, as he submitted the rising Canadian talent via armbar with 1 second remaining in the first round. The defeat fueled Rush's desire to reclaim the title in any way possible, and for the first time in his career, he played the villain. He confronted Hughes in the octagon after the American had just beaten BJ Penn with the infamous remark, "I'm not impressed by your performance." The rematch was scheduled for UFC 65, and Rush won by TKO to reclaim the UFC welterweight title. A trilogy was in order, with one for GSP and one for Matt. The third fight took place in 2007, and nobody knew what to expect because GSP was coming off of a shock loss to Matt Serra. GSP, however, overcame the adversity and won the rematch using the same technique that Hughes had used to defeat him 3 years before, the armbar. If you want to create a Mount Rushmore of MMA women, start with Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate. The most well-known rivalry in women's UFC is that between Ronda Rousey and Miesha Tate. It started with some online trash talk, but then it all came to a head when Rousey challenged Tate for her Strikeforce Women's Bantamweight title. The match was won by Rousey, and then the two fought again, with Rousey coming out on top once again. Tito Ortiz was always going to appear on this list more than anybody else because, well, he pissed off every opponent he faced, and Chuck Liddell's feud with the Huntington Beach bad boy is legendary. As two of the most recognizable faces in the history of the UFC's light heavyweight division, the organization was bound to capitalize on their rivalry. When they fought for the first time at UFC 47 in 2004, Liddell became the first man to knock out Ortiz. It's another rivalry that predates the combatants' time in the UFC. Cruz and Faber have had a rivalry since before they were both in the UFC. When they were both in the World Extreme Cage Fighting League, they despised each other. And when the time came to Faber to exit the octagon for the last time, it seemed only fitting that he be greeted by Cruz. The Dillashaw vs. Garbrandt rivalry has evolved into one of the most intensely personal in UFC history. They were both members of Team Alpha Male when they first met. After a lot of back and forth after their friendship ended, they faced off in UFC 217, and Dillashaw won. They squared off again in UFC 227, with Dillashaw officially putting an end to the feud with a KO shot just 4 minutes in. Because of competition, some rivalries exist. Others, on the other hand, are heated as a result of other factors. The exchange between Anderson Silva and Sonnen falls into the latter category. Anderson Silva was a top fighter for a time, but he had his work cut out for him when he faced Sonnen. Sonnen, on the other hand, was not prepared to enter the ring and then exit. He defamed the fighter with his now legendary mouth. Silva returned the favor by saying, "I'm gonna beat him up the way his parents should have beaten him up to teach him some manners." While Hughes and GSP's healthy rivalry was not founded on hatred, same can't be said for Hughes' feud with Serra. These two fighters were diametrically opposed. Hughes was an all-American wrestler from a farming family who believed in the power of prayer, whereas Serra was a brash New Yorker whose favorite words were dick and pasta. However, they're both excellent fighters. Because of the intensity of this conflict, I actually had to double-check to see that these fighters had only fought once. Hughes' appearance as a guest coach on Season 4 of The Ultimate Fighter, which Serra went on to win, sparked a lot of this resentment. When Hughes arrived on set, he irritated a few of the fighters, one of whom was Serra. It's difficult to tell how much of this rivalry was fueled by genuine resentment and how much was fueled by promotions looking to promote their aggressive fighters. Both of these men would fight their shadow if it came too close. It's no surprise that when they were pitted against each other, explosive striking battles ensued. The American and Brazilian first met at Pride Final Conflict in 2003, where they were both at the top of their careers. Vanderlei won the Grand Prix after a referee was forced to call off the fight due to a series of knees. Perhaps it'll happen, perhaps it won't. Even if a third fight between rivals John Jones and Daniel Cormier never happens, the 205-pounders have packed in enough physical brawls and verbal brawls and social media spats to be remembered for at least a couple more generations. It also doesn't hurt that they're two of the best fighters the sport has ever seen. An on-stage brawl preceded their first fight at UFC 182, which Jones won by a unanimous decision. And Jones' frequent fines, suspensions, and arrests have provided plenty of fodder for Cormier to lash out with whenever the mood really strikes him. He's 41 years old and has considered retiring at times, but he could be enticed by Jones' long-rumored move up to the heavyweight. To summarize, two fighters enter the octagon, but as you know, only one emerges victorious. As with any type of competition, things can get ugly both inside and outside the ring, resulting in the best UFC beefs to ever grace our screens and social media feeds. Professional fighters are expected to be malicious, but some of what they said was downright mean. Of course, there's no love lost between these fighters, and every fight is a rivalry of sorts, but it is these rivalries that propel things forward. And with that comes the end of the video. If you enjoyed the video, you can hit that like and subscribe button, which, by the way, is free. Oh, and also, don't forget to comment the best rivalry that you've seen down in the comment section. Bye, and yeah, have a good day.